Welcome back, focused learners. Today we're diving into something that is just incredibly effective. If you have ever wondered about the process behind creating an English story explainer video to make memorizing vocabulary completely effortless, well, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down a beautifully simple bilingual story called The Young Craftsman. And by using this specific narrative structure, we're literally going to anchor English vocabulary directly into your long-term memory. So you're not just memorizing dry lists today, you're actually experiencing a story. Let's get right into it.
Okay, here's the quick roadmap for our craftsman's story today. We've got 4 parts. First, entering the workshop. Second, the craftsman's tools. Third, every carving hammer strike. And finally, the secret to mastery. Let's jump in.
Section 1. Entering the workshop, setting the scene. Let's step right into the atmospheric world of our craftsman.
We start our narrative arc with this simple, establishing sentence. One morning, a young craftsman enters his workshop. Seeing the English text alongside its direct translation instantly hooks you into the scene, right? You aren't just reading words on a screen, your brain is actively visualizing a young man opening a door to start his day, maybe grabbing a cup of coffee first. This visual spatial connection is absolutely the foundation of easy vocabulary recall.
Now, what's really cool here is how mapping the English text directly to its exact pronunciation and meaning caters perfectly to both your visual and phonetic memory. Take a look at the word craftsman, for example. By isolating these key words, morning, young, craftsman, enters, workshop, and seeing them logically mapped out, your brain processes the spelling, the sound, and the meaning all in a single glance. It's super efficient.
So, visualizing the craftsman's exact preparation sequence builds this really powerful chronological context for our action verbs. He puts on his apron, he prepares his tools, he places a piece of metal on his workbench, and finally, he holds it tightly with a vise. Think about how you get ready for a deep work session. We all have a routine, right? When we tie new language directly to a routine, it just sticks so much better.
Grouping these specific words into a sort of mental folder connected to preparation actions makes recalling this vocabulary highly effective later on. When you think of apron, you naturally associate it with the verb puts on. When you think of metal, you associate it with the strong grip of a vise. You're learning these phrases in their natural habitat, which is exactly why storytelling is the ultimate tool for language mastery.
Moving on to Section 2. The craftsman's tools. Naming the environment. Now that our guy is prepped and ready, let's take a look at the stuff surrounding him. Just picture it in your mind. A heavy wooden workbench, a sharp chisel, and a sturdy hammer resting right on top of it. Off to the side, maybe there's a shelf holding a small jar and a notebook. By vividly visualizing this layout, you've essentially created a mental memory palace where you can safely store these new English words.
By isolating these nouns into their own thematic breakdown, we're ensuring you anchor the English names of these essential items firmly in your mind. Take a quick moment to think about the pronunciation of chisel or workbench, because you've already pictured exactly where they sit in that dusty room. Linking the English term and the translated meaning feels just like placing a fresh label on an object you already own.
All right, Section 3. Every carving hammer strike. Raw materials meet skill. The scene is set, so it's time for the real action to begin.
Tap, tap, tap. Notice how the rhythm of the language just completely brings the sentence to life. Words that sound like the action they describe are a fantastic memory trigger. And the sentence continues. Little by little, he carves a beautiful pentacle. The repetition of the tapping perfectly mirrors that phrase, little by little, which makes the whole resulting action highly memorable.
The crucial point here is understanding the vocabulary that transforms that raw metal into art, specifically verbs like carves and nouns like pentacle. A pentacle, by the way, is a 5-pointed star, usually a symbol of magic or the elements. But honestly, the real magic here is the phrase little by little. It's a great idiom for gradual progress. When you associate the English word carves with that repetitive tap, 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 you lock that verb right into your active vocabulary. Finally, Section 4. The secret to mastery. The true lesson. This brings us right to the climax and the underlying moral of the craftsman's daily grind.
The craftsman wraps up his physical work and shifts into a space of quiet reflection, giving us our final set of contextual vocabulary. Just listen to the calming sequence of these actions: putting away extra tools, noticing the small jar, opening the notebook. He is capturing a new idea. This subtly tells us that a craftsman's work is never just about physical labor, right? It's about constant, ongoing mental evolution.
These transitional words show the closing of his workday and set the stage for his realization. Check out the phrasal verb writes down. Seeing it separated out like this shows you exactly how the mechanics of English sentences are constructed. He doesn't just write, he writes down his idea, firmly securing it onto the physical page.
Isolating this core philosophy visually maximizes its impact. It beautifully bridges the lesson from the craftsman's metalwork directly to your own language learning journey. Practice every day. Improve a little every day. That is what he wrote in that notebook. It's simple, but it's incredibly profound. Whether you're striking a chisel against metal or memorizing new English vocabulary through an explainer like this, the principle is exactly the same. And the direct, tangible result of all that daily practice is made abundantly clear in the story's resolution. After many hours of practice, his pentacle becomes beautiful. It definitely wasn't beautiful on the very first hammer strike, and let's be honest, you won't be perfectly fluent on your first day learning a new language either. It absolutely requires those accumulated hours.
So this brings us to a really provocative question, one that relates directly to both the craftsman's art and your own vocabulary retention goals. What is the true foundation of learning and achievement? When we look back at all the specific verbs and nouns we've covered today, the common thread is deliberate, focused action over time.
Just as our craftsman learns, English mastery isn't some overnight achievement. It is built one small step at a time. By using structured stories and breaking things down visually, you are already taking incredibly efficient steps. So I'll leave you with this one thought as we wrap up today's explainer. What small step will you take tomorrow to improve just a little every day? Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next one.